Last night, President Trump agreed to a 2-week ceasefire with Iran just before his deadline for a major escalation of the war. The key to the temporary ceasefire agreement is the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's foreign affairs minister said there will be a safe way through the strait as negotiations continue. Iran claims negotiations for a permanent end to the war begin Friday in Pakistan, but the White House has not confirmed that. Here to talk more about what comes next is DU's Associate Director of Middle East Studies, Dr. Ahmed Abdrabu. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Okay, so first, Iran laid out a 10-point ceasefire plan. It sounds like some of those points probably will not come to fruition, right?
The problem is we have two different versions of these points. According to Iran, for example, they stated yesterday, according to their foreign minister, that it doesn't include anything about seizing the nuclear program. United States said yesterday, President Trump said yesterday, it's not true. So we have to wait, and here's why we have to be cautious. We have to still be very optimistic, but also cautiously optimistic because we have to wait till we see the exact deal, which will not come soon. I mean, we have to wait for 2 weeks to see exactly the framework and the content of this deal.
So we talked about this 2-week ceasefire. What did Iran get in this, and what did the U.S. gain in it?
It's de-escalation, which on itself good news, not just for Iran and the United States, but also for the global market. We hopefully will see some real drop in oil prices in the coming few days. Maybe no immediate impact on the commodities and market stores prices, but at least for the oil, that's good news. We hopefully will not see escalation unless something very bad happens. It's still fragile, but hopefully this is what we're going to see. A pause, a ceasefire, but not yet a deal.
Right. So despite the ceasefire, the Associated Press is saying that Israel is still launching strikes. Is that allowed? Can they do that?
This is part of the conflicting 10-point deal. So according to Iran, of course, they cannot do that because it does include a regional framework as a basis for the deal. But according to Israel, the Prime Minister office this morning in Israel said that it doesn't include Lebanon. So again, these are all conflicting news. And I guess, my guess would be that hopefully Israel will also de-escalate in Lebanon, giving a real window for the negotiations in Pakistan. But again, this is only my expectations, but we have to wait and see.
A real 2-week ceasefire like's been discussed, so we'll see what happens there. This is obviously causing some major ripple effects being felt around the world. What are some of the impacts of everyday life for us here in the U.S.?
Hopefully oil and gas will drop. Huge, of course. And I guess this is a very immediate impact hopefully we're going to see over the coming 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we know that the feelings of Iran's leadership, how are the working class Iranians reacting to this war there?
They are celebrating. We saw this morning some photos coming from Iran celebrating, which is good because, you know, usually the civilians are also the victims of any kind of war. So it's good news for Iranians as well. I guess it's good news for everyone, given that yesterday we were on the brink when President Trump, you know, made some sort of an ultimatum to Iran. So we are now back to a little bit of cooling and hopefully good news for people in the United States, people in Iran, and hopefully in the Middle East as well.
How should Americans feel about this? I mean, you were saying we should be optimistic, but there's still just a kind of a lot that we don't know, it sounds like.
Sure, and this is why I said cautiously optimistic. Optimism is very important because, again, 12 hours ago, that was not it was bleak. I was teaching yesterday to my students and everyone was really waiting to see what's going to happen. So the good news is we're not escalating this. This is not, hopefully, this will not be a full-scale war as it seemed yesterday. But we have to be cautious just because negotiations are not easy. We also have to take into consideration there is mistrust between American diplomacy and Iranian diplomacy given the last 45 years or so. So the distrust is unfortunately something that we have to keep watching as the negotiations developing. But hopefully Pakistan, Egypt, and other Arab countries will try to mediate, will try to to bridge the gap between two sides.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. Dr. Ahmed, thank you so much
Thank
for coming
you.
in. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me. Thank you.